video is going to talk about articles. Articles are three words in English: a, an, and the. Small words, but they create some big problems, especially if you don't have articles in your native language. So let's try to get a clear idea of how you're going to use these articles in English. I have a chart up here that gives a very basic idea of when you're going to use articles. And I've divided it into singular count nouns. These are nouns that you can count. 1 table, 2 tables, 3 tables. Table is a count noun. So singular count noun, if there is just one of something. And then plural count nouns, 2 tables, 3 tables, or non-count nouns. Nouns like coffee, tea, air, knowledge, that you can't count. Plural and non-count nouns work the same with articles, so they're in the same category here. And then we have divided general and specific. And let me try to explain what these ideas encompass. General could mean that you are talking about any example of an item, all examples of an item. That would be general. A table, any table. It can also have the idea that the knowledge of this certain item is not shared by both the speaker and the listener. And by speaker, I mean the person speaking or writing, the person who's giving the communication. And the listener, the person receiving the information. This is my beautiful drawing up here of 2 people. This is the speaker and this is the listener. Both of them have many things in their mind. We're going to be talking here about tea and computers. They have many cups of tea and many computers in their mind. It is only if they are sharing knowledge of a certain cup of tea and a certain computer that you can use the shared knowledge or specific article, also called the definite article in most grammar books. So this is what's called definite, and this would be the indefinite. But these are the ideas that you want to understand if you're going to get articles correct. This is not shared knowledge. This is a shared knowledge of a certain item. So you'll notice, if the knowledge is shared, you always use the. It doesn't matter if it's singular or plural or count or non-count. You always use the. If it is not shared knowledge, if it's any of something, or if the knowledge is only with one person and not shared between both, then you use a or an for singular nouns and no article for plural nouns or for non-count nouns. That's the idea. Let's see how it plays out in some examples I have up here on the board. We'll look at some specific situations. So, this first one, if you look at this sentence, you should realize that we're talking here about all drinks and all computers. This is a very general reference to drinks and computers. So what are you going to do? Drinks is what kind of a noun? It is a plural noun. So, no article. It's general, plural. Computer. Computer is singular. If it's singular, you must have some kind of determiner before it. And here we're just looking at articles. So we need to have some article before it. Again, we're talking generally. We use a because this starts with a consonant sound. So we use a computer. Never spill drinks on a computer. Good general rule. Now, look at this sentence right here. I am no longer talking about any computer and any drink. I'm actually talking about a specific drink and a specific computer. But if I'm the speaker and I'm saying this sentence, I'm introducing this information to the listener. The listener does not already share this knowledge of the drink and the computer with me. I need to use this idea that the information, the identity is not yet shared knowledge. T. T is a non-count noun. That means no article. Computer is a count noun, so again, A. I once spilled tea on a computer. As I continue the sentence, articles change because now the speaker and the listener have a shared understanding of the tea and the computer. It's already been introduced. So we use the definite article for both. Both the tea and the computer were a loss. A loss means gone, not anymore useful. All right, look at the next one. Instead of tea, I'm now using cup of tea. You can very often take non-count nouns and use amounts or packages to make them count nouns. So this is count. You can say 1 cup, 2 cups, 3 cups. The speaker is telling this information to the listener for the first time. I made a cup of tea. We think the listener does not already know about this cup of tea. So I made a cup of tea and sat down to write emails. This is plural. And again, introducing the idea to the listener. Same idea as here. After you've introduced it, it is now shared knowledge. I'm using different words here. I'm using the word drink instead of tea. I'm using the word computer instead of emails. But if you asked the listener, which drink? The listener could say, oh, the drink is the cup of tea that she made. They know this specific drink. It's in their mind. So it is now a shared knowledge. Same with the computer. If somebody said, which computer? The listener could say, oh, the computer that she was working on for her emails. It's a certain computer in the listener's mind. So, unfortunately, I spilled the drink on the computer. All right. Could you please pass me? Either one is possible here, the indefinite or the definite, but they have different meanings. So you could say, could you please pass me a cup of tea, which means there's more than one cup of tea and it doesn't matter which one. Just any cup of tea is fine. If you said, please pass me, or could you please pass me the cup of tea, we share an understanding of which cup of tea that is. Probably there's only one cup of tea. In the case of only one of something, this knowledge is shared of which one you're talking about. So, different meanings for the different articles. Now, we're making this much more specific. with the idea that there's only one yellow mug and there's only one cup of tea in a yellow mug. So I'm going to say, please pass me the cup of tea in the yellow mug. We share an understanding of which cup of tea and which yellow mug. Usually, if you have a prepositional phrase or an adjective clause that comes after the noun and identifies the noun, you will be using the, because it is specific. It is identified to the listener. Okay. Down here, this is another instance that you just need to remember when you are classifying something. Classifying means that you are saying that something belongs to a certain category. If I say this is a marker, I'm saying that this belongs to the category of markers. In a sentence like this, you are classifying something. It's very common when you are describing something, saying, you are, he is a wonderful man. That's a kind of a classification, a kind of an identification, you could say. So this is a kind of an identification also. When you're identifying or classifying something, that follows the rule of general, not shared information specific. So what a unique mug. Now, you might be thinking, why not an? You have to be careful. An is only if the word that follows starts with a vowel sound. It may be different from the spelling. The spelling here is a vowel, but the sound is y, unique. If you have a y sound, that is not a vowel sound. You use a and not an. Okay, so what a unique mug. This is also true, this kind of rule of using the general. If you're saying there is, there are, very commonly you will be using the general form. All right. Up here, if you have an adjective that describes the noun, that makes it specific. The article, I'm sorry, not the article, the adjective makes it unique. There's only one best. That's something similar to using a prepositional phrase or an adjective clause that specifies the noun. If you specify the noun, you're going to use the specific. This is the best tea I've ever had. Use this for any superlative, biggest, greatest, smallest, kindest, any of those. It's going to use the specific because there's only one. Yes, it's only, should be telling you there's only one, only. So it's the only kind I drink. Finally, I wanted to say something about a few idiomatic uses of articles. It's good to find out, get a list of idiomatic uses. There are some situations that don't exactly follow this and you just need to learn them. So when you are talking about certain public buildings, the store, the bank, the post office, the park, we almost always use the, even if it's not shared knowledge. We also use it for some occupations, the doctor, the dentist, the police. We use it for some other items like, oh, morning, afternoon, and evening. In the morning, in the afternoon, we use the. So you want to find out these, it's kind of a small group, but it is good to know that there are certain words that idiomatically use the. Alternatively, there are some words that almost always have no article. And that includes meals, breakfast, lunch, and dinner. You don't usually use an article. Also, home, school, work. I'm going to work. I'm going home. I'm going to school. You do not use an article. So again, small group of words to find out about. So in this case, we're going to use the if you use the word store. I'll go to the store. For morning, use the. In the morning. And get more for no article with meals for breakfast. Okay, take this knowledge that you now have, pause the video, and try to fill in these pieces with the correct articles. Okay, pause. All right, let's go over the answers. Chocolate. Is this singular, plural, non-count? It is actually non-count in English. So it's going to follow the non-count area. Theirs. I just talked about this. Using theirs, it's probably giving information to the listener that is not already shared. So, new information for the listener, non-count. There's dark chocolate in. Here's a situation where the listener can understand from the context, like here. Even if you haven't used the word before, the listener understands which kitchen you're talking about, the kitchen at your house. It's pretty clear that that's the kitchen you're talking about. So there's dark chocolate in the kitchen, because if somebody asked which kitchen, the listener could say, well, I think it's his kitchen, her kitchen. In the kitchen, help yourself. It's on, there's only one bottom shelf. If it is unique, if there's only one, use the. It's on the bottom shelf of, so, cabinet has this information after it. This is a reduced adjective clause that is describing the cabinet. Which cabinet? This cabinet. Specify the cabinet closest to, if somebody said which sink, it's pretty obvious. The sink in the person's kitchen that we're talking about. No mystery about which sink. Closest to the sink. Oh, and please bring me a piece, any piece. I don't have a specific piece in mind. So hopefully these rules and this idea, especially of using the if the specific item is shared knowledge, and using general if it is not, will help you with your articles.